Sox Astros, game one of the ALCS is tonight. Let's start in the land of fantasy. Mr. Friar, who are you captaining in the DFS Showdown?
Well, speaking of living in the past, I don't want to look too far past with Chris Sale and what he did against the Astros back in 2017 in the postseason. I know they rocked him, but there's only a few guys left from that lineup. And as much as you might think, well, Chris Sale didn't do too great against the Rays, he didn't close out the regular season well. We go in here from Alex Cora that he and his staff have figured out what's wrong with Sale. And I think, okay, that's going to be helpful. You know, for game two, he's going to come out, probably look a little bit better and whatever. But then he gets bumped up to game one when Nathan Eovaldi would be on full 4 days rest coming into game one after pitching on October 10th against the Rays and shoving like he did against the Yankees. I know that the Astros are better against right-handed pitching, but they still hit lefties well. So that says a lot to me about what we're going to see tonight from Chris Sale, what the Red Sox are expecting from him tonight, because you're not just trotting him out in game one if he's, he's fine. You know, he's going to be serviceable for us. He's better than nothing in game two. And he has, of course, strikeout potential. I know that the Astros don't strike out a ton against left-handed pitching, but he's a guy who we still saw decent strikeout numbers in limited innings throughout the course of the season. So you have to go with one pitcher tonight, in my opinion. If you're not gonna, I'd say Kike Hernandez is going to be the guy that you go with for your captain spot, but I still want pitchers. I want that strikeout upside. I'm going with Chris Sale.
Yeah, Erik, we probably will be talking about Lance McCullers here, like playing him, but his status remains uncertain for this entire series.
Yeah, that seems like what the latest was going around yesterday. It sounds like McCullers isn't dealing with a long-term issue, but being able to pitch again within a week after leaving with forearm discomfort seems pretty low. The Astros themselves didn't confirm that he was going to miss the entire series yesterday, but reports from John Heyman seem to pretty strongly indicate that way. So that's definitely a big blow. Pushing all those Astros up one spot in the rotation really weakens them in every single game by at least a small amount.
All right, so who would you decide to captain?
I think in cash games, you kind of have to go with the pitcher just because the average points per game for starting pitcher are just so much higher than a hitter. We're talking just shy of 15 for Sale this year, just shy of 18 for Framber Valdez, compared to the top hitters are sitting around 9 to 9.5. So if you are in a cash game, just pick whichever pitcher you're going to build your lineup around. I think I'd probably also lean slightly towards Chris Sale, even though he's been shaky lately. It's not like Valdez has been great either. He had a short playoff start and had several starts down the stretch where he was giving up 4 or more earned runs. I do think in tournaments, though, you can make a case to save a little bit of cash and go with Carlos Correa. I think among that tier of the really big bats who will get the platoon advantage, he's the cheapest minus Alex Bregman, who's been quite cold. And Correa has an OPS over 1,000 so far in the playoffs, homered twice his last 3 games of the regular season. So if you're going a bat, I think he might be the one I'd go with.
Erik, what about value? How can you find value here? Who are you looking at to deliver value?
Yeah, the main thing you have to do in these showdown contests is really scrape the bottom of the barrel. You got to go with some guys that you would not be selecting in a normal daily fantasy setup just because you want to get as many of those good bats as possible. And I think you have to go all the way down to the bottom to Christian Arroyo, minimum price guy at $4,000 and is a legitimate hitter. That's enough. All you need to do really is save cash with anybody who actually has a chance of getting on base. He's actually perfectly fine. A 106 WRC plus over the course of the season means he's a tiny bit above average. The other minimum price players who are likely to play, Martin Maldonado had a WRC plus of 63. Really not anything with the bat. Jake Myers, also for the Astros, hit fairly well this season, but has a very short track record and is battling shoulder issue, may not even play. So I think Arroyo is the guy you almost have to go with if you want to include as many of the best bats as possible.
Okay, who will you be looking at next for some value in this one? What's your strategy?
I got to go with Hunter Renfroe tonight. I know that he struggled against Framber Valdez when he saw him back in the ALCS last year when he was a member of the Rays. And it was pretty ugly for him then, but he's hot right now. He's 6 for 20 in the postseason. He's got a hit every single night so far. So he's building up, head of steam right now. I know he only has 1 extra base hit during that span, but then you look at what he's done against left-handed pitching this season. He's got an 882 OPS, 243 ISO, 375 WOBA against left-handed pitching throughout the course of the season. So I know that while Valdez has reverse splits against right-handed pitching this season, right-handed hitting, I still like the numbers that Renfroe's put up against lefties.
Yeah, it's actually over 5 lifetime against off of Valdez. But you are right. It feels like he's gotten to every left-hander this season. There's no question about that. Let's end this segment here, though, dudes, by pivoting over to the DK Sportsbook. What's your favorite bet on Game 1 for tonight in the ALCS, Nick?
Well, I think at large, I like the Red Sox to win the series, and they're at plus money value right now. So I would definitely take a flyer on that one, because if they go and I think they're going to win one game in Houston, whether it's tonight or next game is one or another. But I think they're going to Fenway 1-1. But for tonight, the Red Sox scoring over 3.5 runs. I like what their offense has done so far. I don't think anybody can complain about that. And frame of to a guy who just got last time out, I think he's prone to giving up 4 runs again like he did last time.
Erik, the bet you like tonight for Game 1 of the ALCS is what?
Yeah, I'd be interested in probably the under on both strikeout props. They're not very high. It looks like it's 3.5 for sale. Valdez is at 4.5. But this is Game 1 of a series. Both these bullpens have had a bit of rest. Neither pitcher was allowed to pitch very deep in their previous start. So even though they have the potential to strike guys out on a per inning basis, they just might not go very many innings. And I'll also note that I'm with Nick on picking the Red Sox for the series. I think it's pretty close to a coin flip without McCullers. The Fangraphs playoff odds actually have it 50.5% in the Red Sox favor. So the fact that they're at plus 125, I think that's a pretty good deal.